Hello, my name is Dr. George Mochocki, and welcome to Retail Merchandising. This is going to be an overview of what we'll be covering in an 8 weeks session or a 16 week traditional session. Either you're taking me in an online class or a face-to-face class, and this is as a supplement in case I missed something or I talk too quick. So what we're going to do here, you already have access to my conceptual maps or mind maps. As you know, those who've had me in other classes, whenever there's a plus, that means there's more information. I usually give you to the second tier, so you could write your own wording, so you have a different understanding. Remember, how I present it, or the reading material is presented, may be a little different. So you go and there's a lot of concepts here. There's a lot of vocabulary. This is just to give you a a baseline and a basic understanding of what it doesn't mean to open up a store and how do I manage the store, what we would consider retail merchandising, how do I move products in and out, how to get customers to buy. All this is going to learn. So this is just going to be a real quick high-level overview of what we're going to be discussing to make sure that this is the course for you. Remember, in marketing or advertising, I want to make sure that this meets your needs and objectives, whether they're academic objectives or career objective, because you're in the industry, you're an entrepreneur, small business, or you're a manager in a retail store, and you're trying to get increase your knowledge. So what should I do? What should I look out for? If you're new to retail merchandising, it helps you with the vocabulary, helps you, it gives you a general understanding what is needed. And when I'm talking to suppliers or vendors or buyers, I'm talking their language. Okay, so first of all, lesson one, retail merchandising, real quickly. We're going to talk about the marketing channel. Those of you who've had me for, or you had any kind of business class or operational management or procurement, you're looking at the distribution chain. Anytime, let me just hit this on here to expand this. I'll move this over so you can see. And let's see, and I have this at 150. Yeah, we'll go 200. Okay, this way it's easier to follow along. You know, you can always stop it on the YouTube or the video and then go back and forth. Okay, streamline the distribution. Anywhere along the distribution channel, if I could eliminate or combine, like from the wholesaler, do I go from the wholesaler or do I go directly to the manufacturer, it reduces the cost. When it reduces the cost, that means I have more. It reduces my expense. If I could reduce the expense, then I have a higher probability of getting a higher profit margin. When you've learned from accounting, if you've taken an accounting class, that accounting is the business, the language of business, marketing, everything else. It all comes down how much money I spent and what's my return on that investment. So you're going to streamline, we'll just talk general. You're just going to learn a baseline. You're not going to be an expert, but at least you understand everything that's needed. So when you're going to open up your business or you want to find out where you can improve, when we talk about control and everything else, you at least have a general overview. Okay, so and then vertical integration, talk about this. Retail structures, when we talk about, you have to know the difference between buying the product and selling the product. Okay, and you talk about line of staff. Those of you who had a management class, you should at least have one, or your managing line is your supervisors or your managers, the people making the decision. The staff are supportive individuals to help the line or the owners or the managers. And then what skills are needed for success in merchandising career? Some of you are taking this course because this is where you want to go. This is where you want to advance your career. So what do I need? We'll just generally go over and look at it. We'll provide you some websites where you can look at it, see what kind of skills what I need. And you're on the right track right now, like taking this course. Okay, so that's be our lesson one. Now lesson two is department and specialty stores. Knows the difference between department stores or specialty stores. Are you discounting types of discounters? I mean, where am I buying my products from? Different formats. Other retailing formats. I'm going to look at other retailing formats. Am I going to be a franchisee, or I'm going to lease a department, or lease a store, or there's something you have to decide. And you're looking at, if you're an entrepreneur, you're looking at if you have a tight budget, you might decide to lease. If once your business is up and flourishing, you have to consider: do I take the what do you call a franchise? Do I become, or do I just become a franchisee? It's a lot easier. Here's the kind of a store; it's close enough to what I'm doing, or I want to be in there. Okay, so that's something I'm going to talk about. Just your options. Like I said, you should have had at least a basic understanding of business, so introduction to business, someplace, or you're into business, so you understand this. I'm just now putting labels on that. Okay, non-store retailing, direct selling, catalog retailing, electronic retailing versus online. You have internet. You may have your own proprietary online retailing. If I look at it, seriously, you have their catalog. You go into the store, or you buy it online. You have other stores that have their own electronic retailing within there, or you have connections with business to business. I don't want to get into too much, otherwise you can say, why should I take the course? He already told me everything. I'm just, from an advertising perspective, is just whetting your appetite for it, for lack of a better word. Okay, retail location. Now, location is everything else. So you look at unplanned shopping districts, and that could be like in an urban area, you have one store for rent. I mean, they just have stores. There is no rhyme or reason. The other one, you're looking at planned shopping districts. When I'm looking at planned shopping, you got strip malls and strip locations and regular traditional malls or convenience centers, whatever they want to. The name changes depending on what good marketing, advertising. Is it one all inside or is it like an outside casual kind of a walking? But when you're looking at the stores, where you're going to open up, you want to be someplace that you are complementing another store. I was working with a client or someone else, and what happened was they had a wine shop, high-end wine shop. But and they opened up the first place. They went up to a strip mall, and so there'd be in between a Little Caesars and a liquor store. It doesn't make sense. It didn't complement. They're a dry cleaner. You'd want to be a wine shop, so you're upscale. Even though you're in the strip mall, you want to be closer. That the other stores are complementing you, but not direct competitors to you. And in most strip stores, when they're playing, they're not going to put two hot dogs stands together. It doesn't even make sense. And if you're looking going forward, I was traveling. I mentioned before, those of you who had me for advertising and consumer behavior, other classes that I also teach. Burger King and Subway in the same mall, in the same store location, like in the strip mall. But what they did, they had, they both had drive-through, separate drive-throughs, so they were set up. But the sitting area inside, they used the common sitting area. This way they reduce the cost. Some people, when they're going to come in for healthy food, they're not going to go into Burger King. I mean, I'm saying again, that's what Burger King does have a salad, but they're not complement. One's Burger King, and the other one is Subway. Completely different. You're going to only get tired for so much. So they didn't see it as a threat, and it was probably owned by the same owner. And he said, hey, I could save money here, and I could get both different types of clientele. Okay? And other types of shopping center. And the bottom line is survival of the fittest. You see a lot of stores closed up. Why did they close up? It could have been poor location. It could have been a poor complementary, like I said, the one with the high-end wine store. Nothing wrong with Little Caesars, but it doesn't tie in. It would be nice if I had a wine store and I was tied into a Italian restaurant that complement each other. So after they come out, they could get a nice bottle of wine. And then a mix of stores in a shopping center. Okay, so that's location. We'll get into a little more on that. The other one is lesson 4: retail growth and expansion. We all want to grow. Centralization advantage. I may have another store. Do I buy to a central point? Again, if you had you have a basic understanding of business, or if you had me for, or you had a business class, it's kind of a tie-in. It keeps on adding in. Now I understand. You have a lot to understand as an entrepreneur in business, so that don't get overwhelmed. This is how you're learning. This is the first exposure maybe from many of you. Others, you've seen it done. Now trying to connect. Is this a course for me? Different types of retail ownership. Chain of collaborating. Growth and expansion. How do I grow? Acquisition, diversification, opportunities for a small store, or do I see a niche? Remember the whole thing in advertising, and even though retail merchandising, it falls underneath marketing, and you have to understand that. So how do I bring my goods in? How do I diversify? And there's a lot of opportunity, but you want to be in an area where there's a need. Remember when we talk about marketing overview, A market is where I have customers, and customers to sustain me as a business, a store, but also to meet the customer's need at an affordable price that he or she needs. And it could be a little bit higher. Remember, you could be a high end. You could be in some place like Barrington or Lake Forest area, and you're still meeting the customer's need. But the price, what the customer wants, more customer satisfaction, higher quality, uniqueness, so you could charge more than what I would consider a standard customer. And you may be open to a standard customer. It depends on the demographic. You have to understand the income, the education, and income's big. How much disposable income do you have? So where do I open up the store? What? Enough for now on that. And bottom line, if you can't grow, bankruptcy, how to get out of the creditors and go someplace else. And then now when I'm looking at international retailing, foreign growth opportunities, foreign expansions, if I, especially if you're on the border of Canada or Mexico, or the internet. We'll talk about electronic later on, but a little bit different. But if I'm looking at the internet, it opens up a whole new group. Where's another market? How can I get into that market? I saturated here. How do I expand? International is not a bad way to expand. Well, I don't know the currency exchange. I don't know you just have to, once you understand the packaging, the post offices and small business association will help you with that logistics. When it's part of your logistics, or you go to UPS or FedEx, they're more than glad to say, here's what you need. We'll come in and help you, because they want you to sign a contractual agreement or utilize their service. And part of this, remember, from business to business class, if you've taken me from marketing, business to business, I have to understand not only my customers, which are retailers, but I have to understand their customer base, because that's how I become added value and I become an asset to the small business owner. Hopefully bankruptcy, I throw that in, so it's like a divorce, you lose everything, or you could, and sometimes bankruptcy, you don't have to go under. It depends on, we take business law 1 or 2, you're going to find out, do I need to be restructured? As I got too much credit, I made bad decisions, or the economy, or whatever. I'm not trying to go one way or the other. I'm just give you a quick overview. Okay, how do I communicate with consumers? That's where advertising comes in. So if you look at it, you can always look me up. If you're taking me at a college level, Dr. Mochocki is teaching an advertising class, and that's how I communicate. Retailers to their customers, okay? I have to market this segment. I have to know more about that customer's consumer behaviors. And of course, that you could take its consumer behavior. It all ties in underneath what we would call the marketing umbrella. Okay, micro merchandising. I'm just looking at little eye, or different types of segmentation. And segmentation is to my target audience. It could be businesses, it could be people, it could be a different geographic area. I sell products here because I know that they sell other products they don't. I have a high-end store, but I got the clearance. They don't want the high-end, but I have another outlet store. And that's a confusing word when you're looking at outlet, means you get a discount. Sometimes you don't when we talk about markup and and pricing and markup or markdown. Okay, and the concept of the store, the image, the brand image. You have to understand the store. So if I'm going to be, and we'll talk about pricing later on. If I'm going to be, what image do you want? What do you want to convey? So if you're buying a store on a low budget, then you at least paint the place, do something to it. Okay. And then we'll talk about retailing. Okay, so when I'm looking at communicating with the customers, I go through sales promotion. That's where advertising. Types of retail advertising. I could have a co-op. There's different types we're going to talk about. Just a little. You're just going to get a baseline, a large overview, so you understand that, and then you start taking other courses to put the pieces together. Loyalty programs, how do I get them in? I got a store, no one shows up. I got a party, no one shows up. How do I get in? Promotion should be doing. If they're not getting in, you better have some checks. And we're going to talk later about control and return on investments, even on your advertising or promotion. And loyalty programs, always get them. You go to a lot of the restaurants, some have loyalty. I'm looking at a lot of people see at a gas station. Do you have our loyalty card? And then you can buy 3 cups of coffee, get 1 free, or whatever. And if you're always there, hey, it makes sense. But sometimes you may say, I go here, I got 1 more to go. Well, this will be it. I get a free cup of coffee if I buy this. So I'll go to that one retailer over other ones. Your whole job is to bring them into your store. You can't sell to them. You can't do anything if they go to your competitors or somebody else. Say, hey, this place is even nicer. This place got air conditioning. We have nothing. So loyalty program. Now the loyalty program, you give it a name, they use the program, they either scan or do something else. What it does, it creates a database. Because when I fill out for the loyalty program, and the overview, you're gonna find your name and everything else. I'm just looking at a phone number and an email address, so I could not spam them, but send information and learn about that person. You have people who have you come in there, especially beauticians. You come to a beauty parlor and you come in there. What do? They look at. They already know. I got a cut last time. I did number 4. I did this dye, and that's what you put in the database. So you know how much merchandise or inventory, because you have a good idea what your customers come in at. But you got to track it. It doesn't do any good. I can't remember. You can't remember. It looks like a lot of people, and after you look at the reports, yeah, only 5. And then basic definition of retailing. Okay, fashion merchandising. What are fashion trends? Because I gotta get my inventory. Is it a fashion? Is it a trend? Or is it just basically a fad? And we'll talk about later on. That you're gonna learn about some fashion terms. Some of you are taking a course or your career objectives is in fashion. So you create stuff. You come up with new ideas. Very creative. Very ingenious. What do I do with this? I can't keep my closet. I want to sell it. I want to either go to a manufacturer and mass produce it so I could sell it and make a profitability with my new idea, new concept, new look. Okay, and then what's the fashion cycle? For lack of better, fads and classic. Like some stuff never changes. Like a bow tie, fine. How much you could do? You could do trim fit, little wider fit for us as we get a little older or less active. Okay. So those are always there. Levi jeans are always there. They don't change. They change them a little, but they're basically the same. It's a classic. It always goes over. Carhartt's another one for if you're in construction, a classic. Trickle trends, fashion, basic fashion influence. How does fashion influence the merchandising I carry, and then fashion industry in a whole. Okay, do I use private labels or brand labels? Branding, merchandising. Let's see what we have here. Remember, your private labels, everything else, you have to do more advertising. I think JCPenney, I just used that. I think some of your reading had that, or some of the things I talked about. Now, JCPenney basically has their own shirt. JCPenney shirt, but it's just for JCPenney. I mean, in the JCPenney stores to buy those shirts. But it's high quality, it's good. Costco has their own brand shirts. Someone else is making it for it, but it's looking at brand. You look at Costco, they're a good store. Walmart may have some of theirs. One has a higher end, one has a medium end. Remember, Walmart's whole mission is to get the best price at the lowest, the lowest price for the consumer. Okay, brand-driven purchases. Some people only come in with, for the label. Ladies, Gucci or this. There's a lot of fakes that look just as good, but it doesn't have the Gucci brand on there. I always see these people. I just buy the labels and put them on everything else. Okay, and then brand extension. What's my brand? Branding, merchandise. I wanted to remember, if I have a small business, that this is a unique shop. I may have someplace I'll stitch my name or logo when we talk a logo. Not out there. I'm paying high end or whatever. Someplace out there so I could identify that. And the other way is licensing. If you look at how do I get merchandise in, I can license. Somebody else does it. I pick up something. Okay, private labels, position private labels. You see the Costco's or JCPenney's, they still carry the brand names that people come in there, and their private labels right next. But JCPenney's private label with their shirts and the clothing, it has a pretty good, it's good quality, at an affordable price. I'm not trying to push one or the other. Okay, and then position the private label, so you have it next to remember, not what you think, because a lot of times you're like, hey, they're both the same. What your consumer is going to see. I got this one is for $75 for a shirt, and this shirt's a private label that I'm selling, and it's $50. And I'm looking, material's the same, looks the same. It's not a copycat, but it meets all my expectations as a consumer. And what are pros and cons? We'll talk about that. I'm just trying to whet your appetite here a little bit. Okay, merchandise and resources. Manufacturers, do I use their manufacturer's rep? And a lot of times they'll do it and get a royalty. Manufacturer sales rep, or when they come to talk to me, how could I interact with them? I have to understand this. I have to understand this whole process of retail merchandising. I have wholesalers. Remember, manufacturers, I put the wholesalers in. That's my chain. Finally comes to you in the chain. It could be, distribution or warehouses, but it still falls in the wholesaler. Is not the manufacturer. Manufacturer doesn't want to deal with the customer. He likes to sell by quality. He's in the business of manufacturing. Not saying that they don't, because they got their own reps and everything else coming out there, or they contract it out. So I don't want to do that, so I give it to a catalog company that does it for me, and I don't mind shipping an individual. I just don't want to deal with the billing and all that, the catalog. I'm a manufacturer. And, so the manufacturer side, I don't want to mess with it. It goes to a wholesaler and it goes to the retailer. Anything part of the distribution chain or the logistic chain coming from the manufacturer, there's a value added. That value added, there's more money. They're not doing it because they love you. They're not doing it because they're nonprofit. They're doing a service because they're more effective and more efficient than you are. Okay, we'll get into a little more detail. Imports is part of the merchandising. Now, imports means where do I get my goods and services from? Not the services, maybe some services you could. But if I'm looking at my goods, my material, my inventory, not too bad. I imported it. If I find it, it meets my quality, my specification. And then you look at different markets, consumer markets, and we'll talk about it. Another way is trade shows, and do I sponsor it, or someone sponsor me for to be at a trade show? And then you'll do as resident buyer, buying offices. I'll let you wonder on that one. Okay, and it's not customer's residence. It was a different terminology. Remember, you're going to learn the terms out of this guy. Measure productivity. Okay, so now you got all your creative and everything. Now I have to understand the dollar amount. Oh my goodness, what's going to cost me? Don't worry, we'll go through it. Remember, you're going to have some math, you're going to have some Excel. We're going to talk a little bit about. Some of you already have accounting. Some of you in the business, you understand the process. But you do fine. This is to give you a good understanding. Everything you're doing is going to cost you something. And when I cost something, when you talk return on investment or return on my store, how much money I'm going to generate. I have to pay this, I have all my expense. At the first 1 or 2 years, you're going to break even, but you want to make sure that you could sustain your business, okay? So you have to measure the productivity. So let's look. You're going to look at productivity, a measure performance, you're looking at turnover, and turnover is how often do I turn over my goods? I don't want to have the goods obsolete, old, but how often a turnover? Is it a high versus low turnover depending on the product? And the high is more desirable, but if I can't reach that high, I want that medium or that which works well for my business or operation. And the turnover by category, which merchandise in turn. If you look at Walmart, where they have their clearance, there's nothing wrong with it. It's not old. It's nothing. It's just that they don't carry it anymore because they didn't turn over. It doesn't turn over quick enough for their standards or their requirements. Now, the next one we go, and remember, I'm just giving an overview. We'll talk about it. I didn't think about that. All this is going to make you think, if you're a business owner going into that, how do I act, or my first job, I'm going to go into a retailing. Most people do start off a retailing. There's a high number of retailers out there. And I'm going to go in there, how could I sell myself, and say, hey, I've taken some classes, I have a general idea. Now, the other thing, space as a commodity. When you have, and I want to look, I want to say Best Buy was one that had what they call, I forgot the name of it, was basically targeted to women. So when Best Buy opened up and they made the aisles bigger, when you make the aisles bigger, that's space that you're not selling anymore. Remember, every little space. Think of space, sales per square foot, think of a dollar store. When I go into a dollar store, what happens? Everything for $1, but they don't have anything else. They have no category. They have stuff piled all over. Hopefully you can get out of there. It's all over because every space, every square foot is generating some revenue for them. And that's what you have to look. So when I make bigger aisles or I do something else, I'm giving up space to keep the customer happy, to make them walk in, but I can't put my merchandise there. Or if I have inventory that's old, when you look at turnover, it's just sitting there. No one's buying it, it's taking up space. It's like I'm in the classroom and everything, and I'm just sitting there and falling asleep. It's already late. I think it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Like I mentioned, I like doing my recordings in the morning. It's quiet. I have my mind set. Everyone's different. So remember, if I got all that stuff that's sitting there, how do I get rid of it? Do I mark it down, mark it up, or talk about it? Now remember, these are all productivity, return on my investment. And I'll leave that open. The next one is stock to sales ratios, the variation. In accounting and finance, I want to see, I got to have a baseline. Where am I at? And what are the, ratios is two numbers together, and you can find out like percentage. You want to see what are my variations. Which stock to sales selling more? If it's selling more, I bring it to the front, and people go. Or do I push it because people are coming in more in the middle? If I look at a pharmacy, I just got to come to pharmacies in different doors at Walmart or Target. So you're going to come into the pharmacy because people are for lack of better words, need their prescriptions, but they're walking through things. It's laid out. How do they lay out? Why did they go this way? Why did they put the computer right in the middle? Or why did they do certain things? Because they want to see if you're coming in linen all the way in the back. All that makes a difference. But which areas, which stock is selling to my sales? I got I'm a retailing store. I have all this information, all these different products. Which one gives me, or what we call our cash cows? People are coming in and then they're buying something else while they're in the store. How do I manage that? And that's in space management. Somebody has to say, where do I put it in? Remember, the vendors coming in here, put this big sign in here. They want it in the front. I don't want it in the front. I have other stuff that's moving. But if they say, we want it in the front, fine, I put it in the front. How much extra are you going to keep because you're taking up space? So the square foot, if you're in a business or management, take me for some management classes. Every square foot, you want a big cafeteria, you want more room for your employees, a breakout area. I don't care, I'm a corporation. I bill you for that because every square foot means something. So think about it. I don't need all the square footage unless you're doing for, I'm not talking about having a wheelchair, because most of the aisles are made for people with disabilities that are in wheelchairs, open up so they have room, or a little scooter. I'm talking really make it wider so people go on. If you get too much of a crowd, I feel too much of a crowd, I can't look other than a dollar store or some of the outlet stores. I don't like that. I like a little, us Americans like a little space. So somebody has to manage a space. Where are you going to put this stuff? So it doesn't look trashy. Nothing wrong with some dollar stores are nice, or some are just like, it looks like a flea market. How do I manage that? So someone is managing it. It's usually the store manager. Store manager or the person on the floor who's in there, who has the authority and the power on that. Okay? Now, let's look at lesson 10. What do we have in lesson 10? Oh, pop, pop. We have in lesson interpretation of retail financial statement. Like it or not, again, I mentioned from accounting, if you open a store, you have to understand the dollar amount. You have to understand the expense side. You have to understand where my money's going. You can't just go up there and hope they come, okay? So I got rid of that. I made an error in that one. You have to know cash flow. How much money is coming in, how much money is going, how much cash I have in hand. You may have good credit rating and everything else, but if you can't pay your bills or your employees or give cash back out, you have to understand how the cash is coming in or it's going out, the expense side. Okay? You have to understand the balance sheet, the two, so you're looking at the end, in the balance sheet is, you're looking at owner's equity, money put in there, and then you're looking at different financials. I'm not going to go too much. Oh my God, this is accounting. I didn't do too well. You're opening up retail merchandise. You have to understand the concept. There's no way around it. You don't have to. You could hire an accountant, or you could hire a college student that has some accounting background. You still have to understand it. You're not going to be a business owner or a manager without knowing the financial side. What's an income statement, and basically it's your revenue, you're making money, your gross margin, return on investment, and it's as a measure of inventory performance. How much inventory do I have? Do I carry more? Do I carry less? And use Excel spreadsheets. There's no way around it. Excel spreadsheets, they have courses, and it's part of the Microsoft. And some already got the templates set up. A lot of computers are already set up. Your point of purchase areas have that, but all utilizing the baseline is an Excel spreadsheet. You can call whatever you want, but so if you understand how to put the formulas where the numbers are going, it makes my adding, it makes me do less error, less chance of making an error using a spreadsheet once you lock in the formulas. Remember, just an overview. There's a lot here. Inventory valuation. Perpetual inventory. Do I have inventory coming in for a product I'm always selling? No problem. Last in, first out. LIFO or FIFO. I have it here. It's an inventory valuation. Part of accounting should have it. I'll just refresh you on here. You do fine. The reading material will give you enough information. And again, your accounting will do this, but you're looking at different costs of your inventory and what cost. Remember, your inventory changes. I bought something for $5 now, and I bought a lot of it, but I can't. I bought it on sale, whatever reason. We get a discount. We're going to be talking about. So I have that, and then all of a sudden, I need to replace it because I need a certain level. The next inventory is at a higher cost for me, but I got a lower cost. Which one do I want? This accounting. Do I, what did I pay? Cost of goods, and it's part of accounting. What are those of you in retail? You'll know a little bit about that already. So I'm looking at inventory values. I'm looking at overage or shortages, how much I get too much, or if I'm short, I have to adjust my inventory. It's going to be a cost. Do I have a space? Or and sometimes you buy more because if you go to Costco or if you go to Walmart, I don't need I'm only going to use the toilet paper or Kleenex, so I buy it. It's a bigger, so it's wrapped up thing that I have to make all the trips. Economics when you're looking at utilities, so I don't have to make all the trips. What happens? I buy the bigger bulk as long as I got the space to keep it. I don't have to worry it's not going to spoil. Okay, fiscal impact and shortages. How do I control? And shortages could be I just didn't order enough, or people theft. All of a sudden it shrinks. You see a lot of times in stores, you see these people, they're taking inventory. On the book it says I got 20. In reality, I got 5. Somebody ripped me off, or I had misplaced them, or I didn't account for it. If I didn't account for it, my books are skewed because I think I got more inventory, but I don't. So the cost of goods, and we'll talk about that. And point of sale systems, it gives you information with the barcodes or the RIF, radio frequency, the microchips that's replacing the barcodes. It at least lets me know the minute I come in there how many units I sold and the inventory, because the software will say, okay, George, you had 20 in stock, you already sold 15. That's why a lot of times you have to use the right numbers or use the right color, so I don't have to do the manual. It gives me a quick general information to the systems, but sometimes they didn't scan it right, or they lost a tag, and even though they sold it, I just don't have it because they didn't know. They just go as miscellaneous or general. That's why they're always trying to find that tag, because it gives me information, what I have on hand instantly without worrying, and how do I. And sometimes with the systems electronic, it could automatically, after it hits a low point, and I'm going into my safety stock, I know delivery so long, the system will order for me, and I had to press a button or review it, or it depends how you set it up. Okay. Retail pricing. Pricing again. How do I get people up? The whole thing of a business. I got good. What's the right price? Look at your competitors, or take accounting, gives you a general idea, or take a finance class. Interrelationships of retail pricing, the components, the impact of pricing in organizations, sales and profitability, markup, different types of markups, maintain markups. How do I maintain them? Tactical price. You got to be careful. The economy is getting better. Do I raise my prices? They could be very sensitive. Depends on the product, and you don't have to raise all the prices. Which ones could I raise? They're sitting there longer, or just sitting there too long. I gotta get, it's a classic. It's gonna sell. I'm going to be able to sell it, or it's been sitting too long and it's taking space. I got to get rid of it, so I started marketing down. Okay, but I have to be tactical because it's part of my brand. People coming in, dollar store, I don't expect to see real expensive stuff. Versus if I would go to Macy's or J.C. Penney's, different structure, different pricing. Even though the goods may be the same, I could buy it at Target or someplace else, but I bought it here. And a lot of times it may have the brand name, but you have to look at the number. It may not have the same quality. Because if I look at, and we'll talk about that. So I'm just trying to get, I'm going to the whole lecture. I'll be here for 5 hours. Okay, markdowns, types of markdowns, clearance, when I do clearance, how do I mark down slow sales? Sellers, okay? And promotional, everyday low price, you think it goes, you never buy anything in the right price, so say everything's low price. CarMax is trying to do the same thing in the promotional selling, you get the best price here. Okay, establishing initial markup, factors that drive initial markups, why would I want to mark it up, calculating an initial markup, what percentages of sales or that I purchase it for, and computing an initial retail price. What should I sell it for? Okay? Deceptive pricing, just understand, don't try to take advantage of customers, because if they go viral, you did this, psh, your business, you might as well, unless people, the older people may not be on the internet, even that market, if you're taking me for advertising, it's about, out of all the people in that certain age group, I think over 65, you may have 35, 40% of the numbers going. Okay? Resale price maintenance, and then when I look at pricing, you look at it as science, you have statistical, you have software that tell you here's a price sensitive, and the other thing is an art. When I say an art, is you just have that feeling this is the right price. Hopefully you look at it, you look at the expense size, that it is the right price. If not, you raise it. And the other thing, the pricing. When you're coming up, if I want to be a high end, I don't want to start have low prices, because then people say, oh no, high end is nothing. You go to a restaurant, you know, a better restaurant, there's no prices on there. Or you go to prices and think, ooh, this is a little expensive. What service do I get? What do I get? Is the name recognition. It's all part of the brand. It's all part of the store when I go in there. Okay? So let's go, we got a few more chapters. Okay, so we're going, I'm just overviewing. There's a lot here. You'll learn a lot when you come out of here. You have a good basic understanding. Planning and sales inventory. Importance of planning a retail organization. Sales planning, reference to sales plan. Inventory planning. You know, I got to buy the inventory before the sale. A lot of retailers, you're buying the inventory 3-6 months in advance. You got to pay it out. You know, again, is it a classic? Is it a fad? Is it a trend? Or is it an upward trend? Or am I going to get stuck with this? Hopefully not. And go into bankruptcy. Okay, back there, that's where it ties in. Assortment of planning, what goods I have, what sizes do I have. And some of this, once you understand your customers from a database, you have a general idea. Resource information for planning decisions. The 4-5-4 planning calendar, a little different in merchandising. You have to understand when the inventory is ready, what they're repairing. You know, when I'm looking, let's say for some reason, flowery shirts are in here. They already had to decide that a year before, because they have to get the material, you have to get the color, you have to all make this, and now you're basically coming in there, so okay, here's what's there, here's what I have. I'm looking out here, I'm going right from the manufacturer, from the wholesaler. You know, planning inventory, open to buy, and assortment of planning, you know, what is the trend. Okay, when I look at business terms, now I start getting into the accounting and everything else, you'll have examples. You'll have examples in the things, not accounting class. I want you to conceptually understand. I just can't go out there. I have to understand the dollar amount. You're going to move someplace else. Look at you. You're already doing a lot of this stuff anyway when you're buying stuff for your own personal use. Not just look at it, just multiply it as a business. Retail buyer's role is a negotiator. You're trying to get the best price. If you're a larger company, they have what they call procurement individuals. That's their whole job, is negotiate the best price. Impact of vendor payment terms on cash flow. Remember, if I get a discount, the vendor wants this money as soon as possible. I try to keep it as long as I can, unless there's a discount. Incentive, pay early, get this. And I'm going, man, if I do that, I could get 5 more bottles. I could do some other stuff with that, or reduce the cost on that. You know, how do I compute discounts? You know, long-term impact of discount, purchase orders. You know, depends on the size of purchase order. I have a lot of times Office Max, even Staples, to Mochocki. We haven't heard from you for a while. Here's a discount. You buy over $300, $500, and it depends on your clients, who you're coming to. So you're going to get some discounts. You know, the dating of the information, basic transportation. Again, terms and transportation, part of the logistics. I don't have my own truck. I can't deliver. I'm mailing stuff out. Could I get a better terms and condition? Because I order so much, I send out so much. There's things in the newspaper that UPS for the large customers are no longer giving like a flat rate, no matter how much the weight is. They're going to bring it down because it's not cost effective. I got a big box because somebody wants something, a lot of cushion in there. It doesn't weigh much, but it's large. It's taking up space. It's taking up space. That means my route is shorter. I can't carry all stuff down. Plus the safety. If it's heavy, how I'm going to pick it up. So they're getting rid of that. They're going back to most likely just the weight and size of certain things, because it's going to have special handling. Okay, and the distribution centers, how close they are, and vendor partnerships. You know, floor-ready merchandise I could bring in here. Markdown allowances, they'll give me something because they can't move it. Costco, a lot of times when it comes down, it's only a month. That product's been sitting there. If vendor comes in and don't worry, Costco is saying, we'll take care of you. We'll give it in your catalog coupon. We'll reduce it by, we already know, by $50 or $100, whatever. from this time period, and it's goes right away. People are looking. Electronic data interchange between me and the supplier, because if I know everything's correct, my inventory is low, when that delivery truck comes, they don't have to call me, I need so much. Those are all things right away. But remember, I had to make sure my inventory system and everything else is working properly, and the minute the inventory is down past the safety stock that you establish, they're already sending. It takes 2 days, so it's dropped this critical point. You don't have to go on there, the same cost. They do like I forgot the terminology. It's basically just a reorder, no brainer. It's not like the first order, they already know it and it comes back. Those you've got any kind of maintenance drugs or prescriptions for allergies, you don't have to reorder. They already know it's reorder automatically. Okay? And vendor matrix and vendor relationship. We're almost done. Merchandising controls and report analysis. If I'm looking at controls, part of control is how much went, how much did it cost. Control function of reality. What's my deviations that I have? What's my control objective? Do I want to watch every penny, or just want to see what's the trend, what merchandise is taken care of? When I look at the 80-20 rule, 20% of my merchandise is generating 80% of my profit, vice versa. Control intervals. When do I want to do it every day, or do I do it every month? Monthly depends on my business and operation and what levels of control. Analyzing or analysts of control reports and use as a decision. All this reports, everything else I analyze doesn't do anything good unless I decide how much floor space do I need. What do I put in the shelving? Can I put another higher shelving? Will people have harder to get into it? Okay. And then when I'm looking at different reports, it's just not all of them. Turnover reports is an important one. Annual review of merchandise statistics. What's the probability this is going to go? Stats is there. I'm not just, it's a small portion of the core stock to sales ratios, vendor sales ratios, sales in category, and style status report. Which styles are going, which are not. If they're not going wrong, get rid of it. Taking space, people aren't coming in there. You're hoping something happens, it becomes a fad. So you can sell it. Value, retail, and sale. Store planning and design. You have to look at the layout. When Walmart went through their massive redesigning all the stores, they're trying to meet the customer's need. What do they need? How do I lay it out? And where do they get the information from the customers? No, they got all the security cameras. When the people come in, how do I lay them out? They see them coming this way. They go this way. Okay, most people go to the right. They go to the left, or they go straight on. That's where I have my my advertising or point of purchase information or something out there to get their attention, and that's how I decide. After a time, I could, in the software that does it, see what's my traffic flow, what do I want to sell, where do I move it. If it's all the way in the corner, no one ever comes in there, so do I want to get people to go in the corner, go to the store? That's how I lay out. I try to plan. If people are looking, if you go to Macy's, some of them, they do have a markdown or the clearance aisle, but it's not out in the front. You got to go down the stairs all the way in the basement. Why? Because that's not their whole selling. They're talking. They don't want people buying something like a TJ Maxx. Good items, good better prices than at the retailer that you can buy it. And a lot of times it's because they get an over inventory. How do I get rid of it? I want to break even and make some profit. They're not selling here, so I'll sell it to. I'm a manufacturer now or a wholesaler. Okay. So we have that. The last one is merchandising presentation. That's advertising. How to just generally have a general idea. And then fixtures. Do I buy my own fixtures? Do I use the vendor sign and signage? Okay. I think this. Hey, you go. My goodness, this is there's a lot of information you'll be covering. For those who let me just make this go in this in a second. For those who are asking me, the software I use here is MindJet. And it's a commercial software. There's a lot of mind. It makes the mind mapping and everything else, and it interfaces nicely with Microsoft Word and PowerPoint and Excel. Okay, so we covered a lot today. This is an overview. You'll be taking me for an 8-week class. We'll cover all these lesson plans or chapters, whatever you want to call them. Or you're taking me in an online class, so it gives you this, or you're just looking at the video and say, hey, there's something I like. Now I have a basic understanding. I'll take the course. do not, it's not like anything else out of definition concepts. I try to make it so you walk away not only knowing them, but you have a general idea how it could be applied. Okay? Again, my name is Dr. George Mochocki, and this is an overview of everything else that will be going forward in an 8-week or 16-week face-to-face or a totally online class or a hybrid. All right? Now, hope this is the course that you're looking for. It will really give you a lot of basic information and gives you a good basic understanding of retail merchandising. Have a nice day or night. It's 1 o'clock. It's good morning.